Hey guys, Cody with Princess Craft RV. Come fly with me today as we go through this Northern Lite 811 EXSE with a wet bath. So let's get it checked out. Starting right here, let's talk about your jacks for the camper for raising it up and down. It's going to be equipped with the 4820 Happy Jacks. These are going to be able to be controlled all electronically with a remote, which I will cover with you. But if you do have an electronic failure and you need to manually crank it, a couple things have to happen. First, we're going to remove this cap right here. Just pops off. You're going to have a crank tool that's going to fit in there to either crank the jack up or down. And the other thing is going to be this lever on the side of the jack does need to be in the down position for manual operation. Other than that, keep the jack legs clean, the inner leg, keep it clean, try to keep it rust free. Little bit of lubrication on the inner legs, not going to hurt anything. On the front of the camper here, do have a couple of bump or rub strips here on the front that should push up against the front of the bed in the truck. This little 7-pin connector right here is going to be for your light hookup. So this is how we're going to hook up to your truck that this is sitting on. It's going to plug in, allow all the exterior lights that are needed for safety reasons, brake lights, tail lights, turn signals, all that good stuff, as well as a charge line from the vehicle to the batteries on the camper so we can keep everything charged up. This little cap right here on the side is going to be for your potable water. So you can take a freshwater hose, put it in there, fill this tank up until it completely overflows. That'll give you a full tank. If you don't want to carry a full tank, use the monitor panel on the inside, and you can shut the water off when you reach your desired level of water. If you've got water in here, you'll use the water pump to extract that water and pressurize your water system. This little port right here is going to be for an exterior satellite or cable hookup for viewing on your TV. I'll show you any other connections that may need to be made on the inside. That's going to bring us to our 6-gallon gas electric water heater. Just a couple of things on this. Drain plug over here in the bottom left-hand corner. That is a plastic or Teflon style plug. I do highly recommend keeping some extras on hand for when you drain that, just in case you accidentally get that cross-threaded whenever you go to put it back in, so you can replace it with a new one and make sure you do stay leak-free. The burn chamber over here on the right, we do see insects get in there and build nests. Can affect the burner operation as well as the actual ignition operation if you get a bug nest built in there. So expecting this for cleanliness periodically is good. A little bit of compressed air to blow it out if you've got cobwebs or something like that in there is good. We do have a pop-off valve up here in the top center. That's a safety device. It's also a good way to check and see when you've got water in your water heater. You never want to dry fire a water heater, which means you always want to make sure it has water in it before you light it on gas or electric. It's a good way to tell. Just lift that lever out, water should come out. You can put an insect screen over this right here to help minimize the insects that can get into the water heater. Now underneath the camper, we are going to have anchor points. We're going to have 4 of these around the camper, 1 in each corner basically, and that's going to be what we're going to tie onto to use a turnbuckle to attach to the tie downs on your truck. Moving on back over here behind the water heater, we're going to have your 120 30 amp connection. Now, this is a real simple connection. On this one, you're just going to have two receivers, one round one. On the side of the camper, you're going to have 2 flats and 1 round one. You're just going to match everything up. Push this straight on. And then we're going to take this black collar, and we want to use that collar to snug down on the cord. Next connection is going to be our city water connection here. It says city water fill. That's where we're going to hook up with our freshwater hose, water pressure regulator, and apply pressure to the camper for all of your water use. All right, that's going to bring us to our exterior shower. Now, a couple things on this, not a whole lot, very easy to use. This can fit right here onto this little stud and sit there for you. You do have a flow control lever here on the back to either have water or basically a drip, and you're going to have hot and cold for mixing your water temperatures to where you like it. A couple things on this for winterization. Don't forget to winterize it. Since it is exterior, it can freeze up pretty easy. If you're not going to be using it, you might even think about removing the hose from it just to help minimize freeze damage to this, and just place it inside the camper. Large compartment back here at the back says not for storage, so don't be putting a bunch of stuff in here. You can put some stuff in here, but you don't want to cram it full, because this is basically your dump station and some controls for the camper. So inside this cabinet, we do have some drain valves in here. The one on the right with the blue valve, this is going to be for your cold water low point drain, for draining the cold water side. On the opposing side, we're going to have two other levers. The red one over here that's kind of tucked in behind the wall is going to be your hot side low point drain, and this one right here is going to be for draining your fresh water tank. Now just above these two, you will find your Happy Jack control board for your electric jacks, and you'll see here that there are a bunch of 25 amp fuses down here at the bottom. It's a good idea to carry some extras just in case you do blow a fuse. You can easily take one of those out and put a new one back in. Two other drains that we've got going on down here. We've got our large drain here. This is going to be for our black tank, or basically our toilet water, for draining everything out of this tank right here. And then we've got our gray valve over here, or our gray tank drain, which is going to be sink and shower water, and that's going to be from a different tank. So just underneath here, you will find where to hook up your sewer hose. You just remove the cap off. You'll use the bayonet fitting on your sewer hose to twist lock onto here, and then run it over to your dump. Okay, moving on to the back of the camper. On the bumper or the step platform here, you do have storage in the bumper tube here. Some nice 4-inch square tube storage, a good place to store your sewer hose. The end cap just pops open. You just pull on it there. Just make sure you get it good and securely closed whenever you get done being in there. So behind our door entry step here, we do have another compartment. To gain access to it, you're just going to loosen these two thumb screws right here. This step's going to lift out of the way, and then you're going to have access to this. You're going to have a thumb lock and a key lock. You can lift this up. Just when you lift it up, just be careful unless you take those screws all the way out so you don't damage your door. Inside, you're going to have storage, and you have a large tray that pulls out for storage. And in here, you can fit pretty much whatever you would like to. Now, you also have it's a good place to store your crank rod for your side awning, which we will go over how to operate as well. Make sure you tighten this back down when you put it back in place. Again, these don't need to be over tight, just snug. That way that thing doesn't accidentally fall off or anything like that. So this is going to give you some access to part of your gen set. That's really about all that you're going to have in there. You'll have more access over on the side compartment. For your entry steps here, they do flip up for storage or for travel. They're just going to flip up like this, and then you're going to have a safety pin. It's going to pop in through this hole right here. Make sure you get that all the way in so these steps can't accidentally fold down or flip down while you're traveling down the road. Right here behind the ladder is where your license plate off of your truck is going to go. Make sure you do switch that back and forth because this camper will most likely cover up your license plate on your truck, and you do need to have something visible. Over here on the other side of the camper, first compartment here up top is going to have your two batteries in it. Now, Northern Lite uses a lot of connections in here, so I do highly recommend that you take a picture of this if you're going to pull your batteries out so you can remember where everything goes. They do have some of it labeled, but it's just a lot of wiring, so just pay attention. There's also a bunch of circuit breakers in here. If you're good with electrical and have any issues or anything and you need to do some of your own repairs, there's a lot of things going on in this little compartment. But the batteries you're going to get from us are not maintenance free, which means they do need to be inspected and the water topped off as necessary using distilled water. Furnace exhaust right here behind your battery compartment. It says hot. It's going to get hot whenever you're using it in the wintertime, so just don't burn yourself. Pay attention. That's really about it on that. On your generator, this is going to be our other access door here. It's going to be a key lock and a thumb lock. It's going to give us greater access to our gen set. You've got a battery disconnect switch. And then we've also got a couple of LP on-off valves back here. This one here is going to go to your generator. This one right here is going to go to your exterior portable hookup here that coils up on top of the generator. It's going to be this hose right here. So if you want to use this, you have to turn that valve on in there, as well as this valve here, and then it's going to be a quick connect up to whatever device it is that you're going to hook up to. You're going to get an owner's manual with this. Follow the maintenance schedule on it for oil changes, air filters, things like that. Side light here for servicing things out here at night. Just a switch on the bottom, LED, so it stays relatively cool. Not going to burn anything. This compartment right here is going to be for access to the back of your refrigerator. Just a couple of things that I do like to show in here. We're going to have our 110 power switch. Now it is on a GFCI. So if this does trip, then the refrigerator will quit working on 110 power. Your PC board or your control board's back here in the back left corner. You do have a manual gas valve that's kind of tucked in behind this cover, but it's going to be this little knob right here. You can shut the gas off right there. And you do have some fuses and things in here. This chamber back in here is generally where you may see insects build nests that cause operational issues. So just a good idea to get in here and clean out. One other thing is there is a furnace reset switch access panel in here. So there's a little panel right back in here tucked in behind the outlet. It says furnace reset switch. You pull this cover off and that'll gain you access to that reset switch. Exterior 110 outlet here, again a GFCI, so that if this is tripped, it's not going to work. Just reset it, you should be good to go. And the last thing over here on this side is going to be our LP storage. We're going to have two 20-pound LP cylinders in here on a pull-out tray. They stay locked in with this band clamp. So let's undo this. I'll show you how to get these out of here. We're just going to pop this open and undo the strap, let this one come over, and then we can slide these out. Once you get them out, again, this is going to be just your standard 20-pounders. These can be exchanged or refilled, whatever works for you. Let me show you how to remove this from the tray. First thing you're going to do, whichever cylinder needs to be removed, go ahead and shut off your service valve here. All the way to the right. It doesn't need to be cranked down really tight, just snug. And then remove your service hose. Loosen the wing nut on the crossbar here. You shouldn't need to take this all the way off, just enough to where you can lift that crossbar up, and then you can get your propane cylinder out. Now, anytime you're transporting a cylinder like this, make sure it's in the upright position so you don't have any issues with it. It's for your safety, so just transport it in the upright position. Putting it back in is just going to be the opposite. Again, we're just going to set it back in here. Line everything up. I like to go ahead and hook up my hose before I tighten my my wing nut down, just in case I need to rotate my cylinder any. Then you can go ahead and snug this down. And then you can go ahead and turn your cylinder back on if you want to continue using that one. Now this does come equipped with an auto changeover regulator, which is going to be this guy right here. And this is going to be your changeover lever for it. Now we recommend running this in manual mode. If you do auto mode, you're going to have both cylinders open, and what's going to happen is when the primary cylinder, which is determined by this lever, goes empty, it's going to automatically start pulling from the other cylinder. We recommend manual mode, so by leaving one cylinder on, one cylinder off, and using the selector valve, selector switch to determine which cylinder is going to be used. So once one goes empty, we're going to shut it off. We're going to turn our selector switch to the other one and then open it. And that way you know, hey, this one's empty. I can go get it refilled while I'm using the other one. That way you just know how much propane you have. There are devices on the market that can go onto the bottom of the cylinders and show you your level per cylinder, which is another great option for keeping up with propane. In order to fit the strap around both of these, you're going to want to have your exterior, your outer cylinder here set as far in as possible. That way it'll sit in there pretty far, and we can get the band clamp around it to secure it. Now this one's going to be just secured with a thumb lock. It is vented for any propane issues. You'll see venting underneath on this side for the refrigerator compartment, as well as your propane compartment here, to allow for proper ventilation. So let me grab our awning rod and we'll go over how to do the awning. So this guy is extendable. You can just loosen this orange piece up right here if you need to make it longer, you know, if it's still on your truck. But you're just going to hook the hook end right into there, and then we're just going to crank it out. Just crank her all the way out. So right there is all the way out. Right before the legs go completely straight, up here will be all the way out. Now you do have support legs that are stored up in here. So to get these out, we have to lift up on this end here. Now, to get these out, you're going to want to open up the orange lever, and that way that leg can shrink up. We're going to pick up on this end here and slide it out. Once you get it all the way out, then you can rotate this. Now you can run this leg to the ground, and you can use it as a support this way. Now when you lock your levers, you actually push them the opposite direction of what you think, so they actually kind of stick out like this. The other option for using this leg is going to be going to the side of the camper with it, which is going to be, there's a bracket here and one at the back that receive these feet. So you're going to push up on this metal retaining pin. We're going to drop the bottom end first and then push the top end, and then that metal pin should fall down over that. Now you can use this leg to push up and sturdy your awning for added support if you so choose to do that. For storing these legs, it's going to be just the opposite. Go ahead and take that loose. We're going to pick up on this pin, and you have to push in on the bottom here and get this to tip past that retainer. Shrink this guy back down. Now when you go to store this back in, this piece right up here has two ears on it that has to line up into these grooves, and make sure your orange handle is facing out. So go ahead and do that, and then you're just going to slide this all the way in. Once you get in so far, go ahead and unlock your leg again. Finish sliding that in, and then let this drop all the way in, and then you'll want to tip that leg back flat and extend, and then pull it back out this way just a little bit, and that's going to lock that leg into place, and then you can push that back shut. And that's going to be for both legs on how that operates. For storing the awning, it's just going to be opposite. We're just going to crank it back in. And that's it on how to operate the box awning on this. The last thing I do need to cover on this side is going to be our vent right up here for your vent hood over your cooktop. You can see these two little levers, one on each side here, that actually secure that vent flap closed when you're in travel. Make sure you do latch those. The wind can actually grab a hold of that vent and it'll rip it right out of there. But if you do want to use your vent hood, make sure that's open. That way you can actually get everything out of the camper that you want out, as far as cooking smoke and things like that. All right, so let's cover the Happy Jack remote. So this is going to operate your jacks. You need to know how to wake it up. So to do that, we're going to push these center two buttons, the big red and the big blue. We're going to push those together. Then we're going to come up here and we're going to push the tops together, and that's going to wake everything up. And now we can use any of these arrows to run the jacks. Now the center two buttons are going to be all up, all down, basically all four together. And then we can run left side is as if you're sitting in the driver's seat of your truck looking forward. The left side is driver's side, right side is passenger side. Now, other than running all 4 together, you can run these individually, or you can run sides together, or you can run fronts or rears together. The only thing you cannot do is run across the camper together. Your accessory on this one is not used. So that's pretty much it on this. This does time out. If you run your jack straight for 2 minutes, it's gonna stop at that 2-minute mark. You're gonna have to let off the button and then push it again to restart the jacks. That is normal. Other than that, this thing times out on its own and will stop. So if you have some interference operation or operational issues, you can pop this cap off right here. You're gonna have basically a phone cord that's gonna plug in right here. And then right here where it talks about this one right here, oh, let me see if I can, this connection right here says RJ-11. It's gonna have a port right here on the side where the other side of that cord will plug in, and that will bypass the wireless operation of this remote. Usually will clear up any kind of interference issues that you have, and that can be normal from time to time depending on what's in the area. That should hopefully cover everything on the outside of our Northern Lite 811. Let's go check out the inside. Okay, so coming in the door of our 811 here, right here to the bottom right, we're gonna have our fire extinguisher. Biggest thing with this is gonna be the little green button on top. You're gonna wanna push that down, make sure it pops back up. Now, if you need to gain access to this, the front of this just flips open and you can get your fire extinguisher out of there. Next to that's gonna be our battery disconnect switch. This is gonna turn the 12-volt off to the camper. To turn that off, you're just gonna turn this to that position and the key should pop out. So basically it's facing up and down. If the key comes out, you know you're disconnected. To reconnect, you're just gonna put it back in and turn it to the on position. This is gonna be all of our furnace heat coming out of here. There are a couple other ducts down along the flooring area that are black and circular for other ducting from the furnace. We've got our Armada solar controller here for the roof mounted solar. You do have a USB port here for charging directly off of this controller. You can cycle through your screens to see your voltage, battery state of charge, temperature. Next to that's going to be our Cummins Onan generator start-stop switch. To use this, when you first get started, you're going to want to take and push this to the down position and wait until that orange light comes on and then release. And then you're going to push the start side and push and hold until it gets started. Once it gets started, it's automatically gonna switch over to generator power if you are connected to shore power. The next switch, that's just an on-off switch. That's actually gonna be for your rear LED light strip on your awning. And then we've got our electric awning switch here for extending and retracting the rear electric awning. Now you do have to push and hold this one as it comes in. And you want to make sure it comes all the way in for storage. The last switch is going to be this switch right up here, which is going to run the porch light right here. Now, when you run this awning in and out, you do want to watch your door. Make sure that your door doesn't get caught in an arm or hit the roller tube or anything like that, so you don't cause any damage. Rear storage compartment here. This is actually a pretty good sized wardrobe. It's got a hanging bar in it for you to hang stuff. Up here at the top, you can put your hangers in there and hang whatever you need to. You do have a manufacturer's tag in here. It talks about all of your appliances and manufacturers, model numbers. This is really good information to have. If you need to have any of this stuff repaired, having these model numbers will be very beneficial to whoever you're working with on that stuff. All of your lights in the camper are going to be controlled individually at the switches, so they go 2 ways. The center is going to be off. One direction is going to be a single light, the other direction will be a dual light, and that goes for all of the dual lights mounted on the ceiling of the camper. That's going to bring us to our Dometic fan, which is going to be controlled with the Fantastic Vent remote. Now this does kind of have to be pointed towards the direction of the fan for it to operate. But you can just push the on button right there. And as long as you were pointed in that direction, it's going to go basically to the last setting that you had it on. But from there you can change manual mode's going to be completely percentage or speed based. You can see there the LED moving down as we lower our percentage of fan speed. If you want to go to the auto mode, just push the arrows over here with the temperature selections. This is going to keep you within a temperature range. Basically, it's going to shut on and off depending on what temperature you select, 80, 75, 70. Depending on where the thermostat on board says it is, it's going to shut down or not. It is equipped with a rain sensor. You can turn that on and off. And you can reverse the fan, and then you can manually close the lid up and down if you do not want to have the fan on, but you do want the lid open. To shut it off, just point it at it again, push the power button, and it's going to close down. Now our bathroom is over here behind this pocket door. There is a sticker on here that says lock while in transit, which is going to be this lock right here. Make sure that you do use this. If you forget to latch this in transit, this door is going to slide around and bang and probably be damaged whenever you get to your destination. So to undo it, we're just going to flip the latch open, slide our door back, and that's going to give us access to our wet bath. Now in here, on the ceiling again, we're going to have the same type of light fixture. We do have a vent fan. It's going to be cranked open with the knob here, and this is going to be your fan control button to pull any moisture, anything out as you need. Got your towel bar across the back. There is a shower curtain there is a shower curtain track that goes through here to cover your wood door, basically, whenever you're in here taking a shower. All of the guides are up here on the track. The shower curtain just has to be hung on these for use. Dry storage for your toilet paper is going to be under that cover there. Toilet's going to be a hand flush, little gray lever on the back side of that over there. Halfway is going to bring water just into your bowl. You're going to want to make sure you get it, at least halfway full. Go ahead and do what you need to do. Once you're done, you're going to pull that lever all the way forward. That's going to open the blade at the bottom of the toilet and allow everything down into the black tank. Now with that, you want to make sure you're using plenty of water. You want to be using some type of black tank treatment, and you want to use RV toilet tissue so you don't create any issues. And that's going to bring us to our medicine cabinet. To get this open, you're just going to push this little lever right here to the side. That's going to swing open, and you can store your toiletries in there. And then for our shower, we're going to have hot and cold mixer down at the faucet with a diverter knob here on the back. Once you get your temperature set, you're just going to pull up on that knob, and that'll divert water to your shower head. Shower head is equipped with a flow control button on here, so you can control your flow, either full flow or dribble from the other side, since you are limited on hot water. Now again, remember to latch this all the way closed before you hit the road for travel. That's going to bring us over here to our Dometic 3-way refrigerator. To get into this, you're just gonna, it's really pretty natural when you pull the handle to actually get it open. You're just gonna rock these to the left just a little bit, and they pop right open. All of your controls for the refrigerator are tucked in behind the freezer door. So once we get in here, we're gonna have 4 buttons up here across the top. First one's gonna be our main power button, on and off. If it's in the out position, it's off. If it's in the on position, and you will have some type of lighting going on up here. The next button is going to be our AC-DC switch. So this is going to be manually forcing the refrigerator to DC mode. That's the only way this refrigerator will operate in DC mode, is if you push that button and that DC light is on. Now, we don't recommend DC mode. It is just a maintenance mode for a current refrigerator temperature, and it is very hard on your battery, so we only recommend that as a last resort. The third button over is going to be our auto or gas only button. So right now you can see we're selected auto and AC. If our power went out to our camper for our AC power, this would automatically switch over and our gas light would come on. It would light up and keep everything cold. So this is usually the mode we're going to recommend, is auto mode, and let it choose its most reliable source between AC or gas. If you want to manually force it to gas though, just push that one, and you can see just the gas light will be on, no auto light. So we're going to be in gas only operation. It's going to run off the propane. As long as you've got propane and 12-volt battery, everything's going to work as it should. And the check light here, if this illuminates, that just tells you that something did not happen with the refrigerator like it wanted to. Especially if you're trying to run it on gas, that's the most common time we're going to see this. It's usually an ignition issue. You've got air in the line, haven't used it in a while. Cycle the on-off switch again, turn it off, wait about 10 seconds, turn it back on. You may have to do that a couple times on the gas mode. The last button is going to be our our temperature selector button, 1 through 5, 5 being your coldest, 1 being your warmest. You just choose what works for you. Make sure you get your doors closed all the way on these. Other than that, it operates just like a refrigerator. These do take anywhere from 12 to 24 hours to completely cool, so it is a good idea to prep them ahead of time. So let's go ahead and cover our dinette area over here. We've talked about our fantastic fan remote. Let's talk about our monitor panel here. Got a bunch of lights and things going on here. So we just have one button to monitor everything all at one time. So all we've got to do is push that rocker switch and you can see we're going to get a bunch of lights. It's going to tell us our holding tank 1, holding tank 2, fresh water. It's going to tell us our battery condition. So right now you can see it's up here in the charge because we are charging because we are plugged into 110 shore power. Fresh water is about 3/4 of a tank full. Gray water is going to be holding tank 2. You're about a third full, and then our black tank is going to be empty. The other switch here is going to be for our water pump. So again, if you're hooked up to city water, you won't need this. If you're going to be dry camping or boondocking or traveling down the road and you want to be able to use the restroom, you've got water in the fresh water tank. You're just going to flip that switch on. The pump's going to extract that water out of the fresh water tank, pressurize the system, and you will have water to use throughout the camper. Just above that, we're going to have our clock from Northern Lite. This is just a digital clock. You can set alarms and things like that on it as you wish. It's going to bring us to our Emerson thermostat control. This is going to be furnace only control. And you can see down here it's off and heat. So if you have this switched over to the heat, furnace is going to come on, and this is going to be your temperature setting there. We do have reading lamps, if you will, on each side of the dinette here with little push buttons just on top of them. This is considered your fire exit window here. The reason being is that this thing is going to open up pretty far and it's a larger window. So to get out of this, each of these does have a push button kind of right in the middle of the knob. So you do have to push that in order for this to unlock and allow you to rotate it. And once you do that, so these don't use a knob that you tighten down to keep them open. They actually have like a detent, if you will. So you do have to listen for the clicks on these in order to get them to stay. You can lightly hear the clicks. So if you just go slow, you're going to get a couple of different options on how far you can open this window out. Now to close it, you just give it a quick push and then it's going to release those and allow you to close it. Again, if you need to climb out, this thing's going to push all the way open for you. To latch it back down, you can latch this in a vent position. So these have a center latch position on them that'll latch onto the framework here instead of all the way in. And it just gives you a little bit of venting, which is great in either the rainy time, but you don't want to run your air conditioner. And you can still get some good fresh air with the fantastic fan. But again, to get this to close all the way, don't forget to do this. Pull it all the way in. Make sure you get all of your latches latched. These windows can blow off if you don't get them latched good, and they are not cheap. And there's even more than that because they have to come out of Canada. So make sure you get them all latched really good. Other than that, the shade on here is going to pull up from the bottom or the top. Pull up from the bottom or down from the top. You're going to have two options. This is going to be considered your night shade or your privacy shade. It's going to be light darkening, and it's going to give you privacy as nobody can see through it. The other direction is going to be your day screen or your bug screen, if you will. So if you have the window open, this is going to help keep the insects out, but it's also going to allow some good natural lighting in for you. Now these do latch together right here. There's a little latch from the top that you just push, and these are going to release. So if you're going to pull the top down, it has to latch into place. Since it is spring loaded, it's going to retract to the top. Now as far as your little goodie bag here that comes from Northern Lite, there's going to be like a sewer adapter, your shower curtains in here with the hooks. We've got your tank drain cap in here, things like that. So this is your little goodie bag that Northern Lite provides with the camper. Now let's talk about your table here. So this tabletop can slide back and forth to allow for difference in space. If you want to lock it down, it's just going to be this little thumb lock right here. Once you find where you're comfortable with it at, you just want to take this and snug it down. And that will help lock this table in place so it doesn't move around too easy. just nice and snug, and then that table will stay where it's supposed to. Now this also makes down into your alternate sleeping area. So to do that, I like to pop my cushions out of the way. So just pop them up. There is a lock lever right here underneath. It's going to be this handle right here. You want to make sure this is pointing straight down. And then we're just going to kind of push from the center of the table. We're going to push it into the down position. It's a good idea to have that thumb wheel unlocked. That way if you need to move this side to side, you can. So you can find your position. Once you get it all the way down, you're going to reach under here, latch this back into place. That's going to help hold it there. And then we're going to take our cushions and put them in. The big cushions can stay towards the back. The little cushions are going to come to the middle and fill in our gap here, and that's going to make your alternate sleeping area. Putting it back up is going to be just the opposite. Again, I do like to have my cushions up and out of the way so they don't get hung on anything. Before I get this side all the way back up, the bed side here is going to have not storage, it's going to be an access to plumbing and all kinds of stuff here. We've got the back side of your water heater. We've got your bypass valves here for normal use mode. So we want water going in and out of the water heater. We're going to have our red and blue valves open, so you want them facing in line with the hose. You want the one in between them closed off, so it should be perpendicular to the water line. And then we've got two more valves kind of way down in here. We're going to have this one right here. This one should be closed as it is now, perpendicular to the water line. And then the one down here just below, kind of hard to see down in here. This one right here, you're going to want parallel with the water line. So you're going to want it running in line. This is going to allow water to be pulled from the freshwater tank. Now to winterize this unit, you're going to close this one. You're going to open this one. You're going to open this one. And you're going to close the red one. And you're going to close the blue one. Okay. And then we're going to take this hose that Northern Lite provides. We're going to take this cap off right here. And we're going to thread this hose onto that with this end right here. And that's going to allow us to use our water pump. So then we're going to turn our water pump on. And we're going to stick this hose down into our potable or our RV antifreeze for the system. This will go in, the water pump's going to suck it and pressurize the system. You're going to go around to all your faucets, fixtures, showers, exterior shower, run everything until it flows pink. And when it does, you can shut everything off and you will be winterized for the winter time. De-winterization is going to be pretty much just the opposite. You're going to want to go ahead and hook fresh water to everything. Close your winterization valve back off. Go ahead and close this one. Open your freshwater tank one. Fill your freshwater tank, or you can use city water, but I like to use the freshwater tank. Fill that up. Open that. Go ahead and leave these two closed for the time being, and leave this one open. Go ahead and run all your faucets again, and you want to run them until they're clear and not foamy. And then we can unbypass your water heater, which would be opening these two to the position they're in and then closing this one back off. And that way we don't push a bunch of that antifreeze into our water heater, which then can be difficult to get out. I know that's probably just kind of a rough cover of how to winterize. So if you have questions, just give us a call. It's not a difficult process, especially when they provide all of the valves for you. So let's go ahead and get our table lifted back up here. Pull your lever down, lift the table up, make sure it gets all the way up. And then we want to, latch that back into place. That way, whenever you lean down on it to eat, it doesn't collapse into your lap. Now for traveling, either make sure you have this secured so it doesn't sit here and move every time you start and stop your vehicle, or store it down into the bed position. Either way is going to work so it doesn't get beat up while you're driving around. So let's go ahead and talk about the air conditioner here. Really basic operation on this. You're going to have two knobs. One's going to be for your fan speed, basically. max cool, and then you can kind of turn it down to adjust temperature if it's too cold for you. And then the other one over here is going to be actually turning everything on. So all of the cool side here is what we'll use. If you just want to use the fan only, it'll be the gray side. If you don't want the compressor running for actual air conditioning. So you do have some different controls here for airflow out the ends here. You've got flaps here on the side. This one facing the cooktop. If you're going to be cooking, probably a good idea to keep that one closed so it doesn't blow your flame around. And then we have your kind of your straight down chill right here from the bottom. It'll blow air straight down. So you can have these all open. You can close them off to force more air to wherever you want it. Now these do have filters on each side here that do have to be cleaned. These just pull out. Now there's a little cavity for you to put your finger into to help pull it out. That always needs to face down. These can be switched from side to side and reinstalled, but then they're difficult to get out because you can't really grab them. When you pull them out, you're just going to clean them with warm soapy water. Let them dry before you reinstall them. Make sure you try not to damage this screen material. And these should just slide in. They should not be difficult to slide in. If you force them in, you can deform them, jam them up, things like that, and then they can't do their job. So under our dinette, there is an outlet under here. Again, it's going to be a GFI outlet. It's going to be that one right there. We do have a couple of speakers on here as well as airflow ducting. And we've got a couple of drawers here that are for storage. And you also have underfloor storage down here. Below our refrigerator, we're going to find our propane leak detector. If you have a propane leak, this thing's going to start making a bunch of noise, flash some lights, things like that. So pay attention to this. It is a good device. It is required to have in your camper and operational to protect you. Now this carpet down here that runs in the walkway is removable. This just rolls up. You can take it out if you don't want to use it. And below you will have linoleum exposed flooring. So last couple things over here on the dinette bench, it's going to be your power distribution panel. Now this panel is already lithium equipped, which means there is a switch that can be made on the inside to switch this over to a lithium profile. So it's really simple to upgrade to lithium batteries on this camper just by taking the regular lead acids out, putting the lithiums in and making the switch inside here, and you're set up with lithium. It's that simple on this camper. So it's a great upgrade if you really like to dry camp. But inside you will find your 110 circuit breakers here, and you will find your you'll find your 12 volt fuses over here. I do recommend picking a variety of these up. It looks like in this one, we're just gonna need some 15s and a 10. And some 30s up here at the top. So a good idea to keep some of those on hand just in case you accidentally blow one. You can replace it and keep going. You do have your storage drawer right here below the cab over step up. You got your silverware tray on the inside. And that's going to bring us over to our dinette area. Golly. That's going to bring us over to our kitchen area. Below our stove, we do have another drawer here for storage. This is going to be that phone cable for your jacks. We do have another bag in here from Northern Lite. These are going to be your crank handles for your jacks if you do have an electrical failure and you do need to manually crank them. That's going to be for that. Got another storage cabinet here, nice and deep. You can fit quite a bit into this one. These are all held closed with the rollers, so they lock up really nice, stay closed really well. All of your drawers are on detents. The top one here is just a tip out storage for knives or whatever you would like to put in there that's easy to gain access to. Water heater switch right here, we're gonna have two. One's gonna be for the electric side, the one on the left with the electricity bolt. So if you want to run your water heater on 110 electric, you're just going to flip that one on and everything's going to get hot off of the 110. If you want to run it on the gas side, it's going to be this switch here. This light will come on for about 15 seconds, I believe it is, and then it's going to shut off when it goes into ignition mode. As long as that light stays off and doesn't come back on, everything should be good to go. All right, let's go ahead and talk about our cooktop real quick. 3-burner Suburban cooktop here. To open this up, we're going to pick up the front piece of our glass here, tip it over to the back piece, and then we're going to pick up the rest of it and fold it over, and it should just rest there. Now to get these to light, you're just going to turn your knob to the light position, and you're going to rotate your sparker over here on the left until you get your flame lit, and then you can use your knob to set your temperature and do your cooking. When you are done, we do recommend letting your burners cool completely before you close your glass cover back over them to protect the cover so it doesn't get any damage. Now you do have a switch right here in between your igniter knob and your burner 1 knob here. A little black switch is going to be for your accent lighting behind the knobs. If you push it to the up position, it's just going to light up your knobs. If you push it down, it's going to light up your knobs as well as turn on the light in the oven. Now to light the oven, we're going to turn our oven knob over here to the pilot position, and this does have to be pushed and held in while you light your pilot. Now to light your pilot, it's going to be this right here. You're just going to use a match or a stick lighter. While you're holding the button in or the knob in, you're going to light that up. Once it gets lit, you want to hold the button in for about another 10 seconds until the flame gets good and established. Then you can go ahead and set your temperature, do your cooking, and you'll be good to go. Just turn it off when you're done. That's going to bring us to our Furrion vent hood here. You do have a fan as well as a light on it, so the light is just as simple as on and off. Now the fan, remember the vent flap on the outside does need to be opened up if you're going to use this, but to turn the fan on, just push the button. Fan's going to come on for you, and then you can also turn it off. Now to get in here to clean things, you're going to push these 2 little buttons, there's one on each side and these little deals here, and this is going to pop down. And inside you're going to have your grease trap for cleaning, as well as wiping down inside. This can be removed and cleaned so it can keep doing its job. To put it back in, just fish everything back in the way it came out and make sure it gets latched in there. Now as far as your sink goes, you've got a nice sink cover here that can double as a cutting board. But for water control, it's just going to be turning the spout, pushing the spout back towards the wall, or the handle back towards the wall for flow control. To the left will be hot, to the right will be cold. So overhead we do have some storage compartments. Now these do have little struts on them to help keep them open, so you can get in and out without having to hold them. And we're going to have your microwave up here as well. And your microwave outlet is up here kind of to the left. Shouldn't be an issue. You shouldn't have any issues with where it's located, accidentally knocking it loose or anything like that. This is just a regular turntable style microwave. Put your stuff in it, set your time, let it do its thing, and then get your food out of it. That's going to bring us to our Jensen media player. This is going to be your radio, AM, FM radio, DVD player. You can pair your smartphone with it to play music through your smartphone. You do have a USB charge station, auxiliary jack. So basically this is going to do everything. It's going to play DVDs and everything up here to your Jensen TV up here in the bedroom. Just below that, we're going to have a actual charging station. So we've got a 12 volt utility port over here on the right, and then we have a dual USB port on the left. Another GFCI outlet here, again with a trip reset button on it. Over your kitchen area, we're going to find your smoke and CO alarm. This is going to be powered by AA's. So again, test this periodically. Make sure it stays working. Replace the batteries as needed. Just take care of yourself just like you would your home, and take care of all of your safety devices. That's going to bring us up into the bedroom area here. So your Jensen TV here can be swung out for use. You're just going to pull down on this strap right here, and that's going to allow it to swing around so you can watch TV from the dinette area. Now behind it, it's just going to have another 12 volt accessory port because the TV is 12 volt powered. It's going to be just like the one that's in the kitchen area. It's got some USB ports on it as well. Just make sure this thing does get stored for travel time, that you don't have it hanging out bouncing around. Now there is a secondary safety pin for this. It's just going to drop in from the top to make sure that that thing doesn't accidentally swing open. So in this compartment here, we're going to have another 110 outlet down there. And we're also going to have your WineGuard satellite, or I'm sorry, your WineGuard antenna control, which is going to be that one that says WineGuard on it. It's got a main power switch. This thing is auto-locating for channels. It takes a bit to run through all the searches, and then it's going to lock in a position where it picks up the most channels. Now you can force it to rotate by using the 2 buttons at the bottom that have the arrows. But this is a pretty intuitive antenna system. It works really well. You probably won't need to make any adjustments to it. The rest of this is just going to be connections for your radio and some other electrical things that are going on back here. So to finish up in the bedroom, we do have storage down both sides of the bed. We do have reading lamps in both corners that turn off, on and off, just like the ones in the dinette. We do have your overhead lighting for additional lighting. Works just like all the other ceiling lights. Your skylight over the bed is very easy to use. It has a big button that locks the handle in place. You just push that in, and then you can pop this thing open. It can latch into 3 different positions for the amount of airflow. And you also have day and night shade, or bug screen and night screen on this thing as well, that slide in from the sides. You do have a privacy curtain or shade for the bedroom area here. It snaps in place with this travel latch. Make sure you put that in whenever you travel. But this thing just pulls over. And there is a receiving peg over here on the wall that it snaps into. And it just snaps on to give the bedroom some privacy. All right, guys, thanks for flying with me as we went through this Northern Lite 811 EXSE. If I've missed anything, though, don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can text us, email us, or give us a phone call. And again, this is Cody with Princess Craft RV.